Hi. No excuses this time. I'm back from Japan. It's been a little over a month, and it's taken me about 3 weeks to make this video. When I got back from Japan, I got emotionally sick, as in had a major depressive episode, and then I got physically sick. But it was good. The first time I recorded this video, the audio was absolute hot garbage. So it made me really rethink, make myself an outline, do all the things I needed to do because this Japan trip was so different from my last Japan trip. It really deserves talking about and taking my time to talk about it. So, this otaku went back to Japan. Let's discuss. Now, for some intro, basically at the end of trip 1, I didn't think I'd go back to Japan. For those of you who were here for trip 1, I had just broken up with my then partner who was really emotionally manipulative, especially about this Japan trip. So, needless to say, trip 1, I didn't have a great time. It took me a while to find any joy in that trip, but I realized I actually did have a lot of fun. So, when the opportunity to do trip 2 arose, I'm feeling better emotionally, I'm feeling better physically. It was like, okay, let's go. So, this trip, I was excited for. I had been once. I knew what to do. I knew what I had to do to make this more enjoyable. And I was really looking forward to really having what was trip 1 for me. Because while I did go to Japan previously, it wasn't the best. So this was really my glorified trip 1. I was stoked. This was my first time, essentially. Um, but, since we'd done it before, one of the big themes of this trip, and of course this is the boys, me, Ricky, Carlos, one of the big themes was that this one was for the culture. So all the cultural things that we didn't really have time to do, that we didn't slow down enough to do, we were going to go for it. And that made me very excited because I am a person who can live in a museum. More on that later. So let's talk about the group. Because in addition to me, Ricky, Carlos, there was also some members of Carlos's family traveling with us. We were told that it's 2 separate groups with some possible overlap. That was mostly true. But when there was possible overlap, I think was the most interesting. Because while I've known Carlos and Ricky for the better part of 10 years, I don't know these other people that I'm traveling with. And they're all fine. But they're new people. And I'm so socially awkward. I know I come off really confident and sure of myself. It's because I'm talking to myself right now. I'm super socially awkward around people, especially people I don't know and people that I don't have a long history with. I feel like I constantly have to be on and like in that weird black code switching way of like I don't know what I can say, what I can't say, and not that I'm ever going to turn into a diet Joe Rogan, but like what is within boundaries, what isn't within boundaries, stuff like that. So that was an interesting thing to switch up the dynamic. Let's start with the prep because, oh boy, remember last time when I complained so much about all the walking and how tired I was and how sore I was and how miserable I was? This time, the minute we decided we were going back, I started going back to the gym. Went to the gym for about a year in prep for this trip. It paid off in dividends. I was no less sore and no less tired, but I was physically able to keep up better and to walk further distances. Now, I haven't become a gym bro. I will never be a gym bro. But I am just saying, if you are planning a Japan trip, if this inspires you, when people say it's a lot of walking, it is so much more walking than you could ever envision. Just get on the treadmill. Just get on the treadmill. Start at like 15, 20 minutes and then increase your time. It will pay off. The evil stares seemed less evil. I promise you. But this trip wasn't straightforward like the last one. Last one, we hopped on a plane there and back, and everything was fine. This trip decided it wanted to be spicy. So, I arrive a day before so we can all meet in Dallas, Fort Worth. Most of us fly out on this really, really early flight to Detroit. And we've been to the Detroit airport before. We had a layover in Detroit. Super excited. The Detroit airport was nice. But we noticed when we landed early in the morning that it was raining. And that would be something that would follow us through the entire day. Hours go by. We already knew we had a long time before our flight, but where were we going to go? So we just hung out, had a long breakfast, had multiple breakfasts. And that's when the first delay came. The first delay came, I want to say, in like the mid-afternoon, where something had happened to the plane arriving from Haneda Airport. And of course, airlines aren't going to tell you anything unless it's absolutely necessary. But as that plane started to descend, we were told that plane was struck by lightning. And they still wanted to fly it back to Haneda. So listen, I'm not an expert, but you told me my plane was struck by lightning. I think we need a new plane. But again, I'm not an expert. So the plane lands, passengers from Haneda get off. We're still sitting there. Plane's taking extra time with maintenance. Again, good with that. You said this plane was struck by lightning. Take all the time you need. But that time increased. It kept going, it kept going, it kept going. Finally, late into the night, we realize that this delay could be more than just a delay. I became impromptu person who delivered information to a group of passengers all heading on their weeb trips because I was willing to talk to airline staff. And around 11, without even announcing it to us, we saw on Carlos's phone that our options went from rebooking to getting a hotel overnight. And I think we all just crashed out. I mean, I know I did, Carlos did. Like, I think all the wind just left us, and it took us another hour to get our luggage. We were able to rebook a new flight, but like for 4 or 5 a.m. the next day. So we didn't get to our hotel till after midnight. By that point, we had been in the airport all day. The hotel wasn't even that nice. It was such a way to start this trip. And while I don't necessarily believe in like bad vibes and stuff, I think it's really telling that this trip started out with a crash out. But hey, we made it. The flight to Tokyo was just fine. It's such a long flight. It's such a long flight. I don't know how people do it. I say that like I haven't done it. I think after a while you just like give up. It's just you and the plane, and you just accept fate. Because what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? What's the move you're gonna make? I think at a certain point it just like breaks your spirit enough, and you take a melatonin gummy and you just relax until you hit land. Arriving in Tokyo was wonderful. The glorious facades of Shohei Ohtani was there as soon as we landed. Shohei Ohtani would be everywhere in Japan. Get your bag, sir. I appreciate a hustle. Some trip highlights. Let's go over some trip highlights. So one of the first things we did was see a baseball game at the Tokyo Dome. And I'm a baseball fan. Carlos is a baseball fan. Super exciting. Listen, I thought I liked baseball. No. I don't like baseball the way Japan likes baseball. The arena was set up to where it was like a majority of the arena is home team, which is the Giants. And like 2 sections of this huge ass arena our away team, which in this case was the Tigers. Now, we had decided we were going pro Tigers because of their mascot and their previous Yakuza scandals. This is how we selected a team. So we ended up sitting in the Giant section, and Carlos had just bought like this Tigers hat. He was asked to remove it because it was not okay to have rival merch in the home section. This would become a common theme throughout that game. The game was ruthless. It was amazing to see some American players, including a man named Kyle. Go Kyle. What's amazing though is that whole home and away delineacy, because what ended up happening right before close to the end of the game, a little girl had these like two Hansen Tiger bats. I have a similar pair, but hers were in pink, so of course love. And an old man went to the security/police, ratted her out, and then police came and told her to put her toys away, citing that it's disrespectful. Listen, I'm pretty culturally relative. I'm not here to tell anyone how to enjoy their game. A child was playing with a toy, and a man narked her out to the police. That was an adjustment. Like I said, I thought I liked baseball. I do not like baseball the way Japan likes baseball. It was also interesting seeing like some differences in gameplay. Like Japan is way more conservative with their hits and everything. I feel like if this was an American game, there would have been 5 times the swings, but Japan plays very conservatively. It made for an interesting game. There's also cheerleaders, which I appreciate. And I did see the famous beer girls. I'm not really a beer drinker, and I didn't want a highball, so I did not participate. But I did get to see the infamous beer girls. They were there. Osaka gave us a couple of art museums, including one artist who was particularly inspired by scenes of like heaven and hell, was really inspired by like world peace, and was very deeply hurt by acts of terrorism around the world. And it was one of the coolest art experiences I've had in my life. There'll be photos at the end. Also, because of the length of this trip, I forgot to mention, this trip was longer by a couple of days, but because Carlos and I missed a day because of the flight, it ended up being basically the same amount of time. So about 12 days. 11 days, sorry. I had a couple of solo days in Osaka because of how the trip worked out. And, you know, I guess it's feeling better mentally and physically. Those solo days were some of the best days I had, where I could just go to a museum or two, have a coffee, go to the konbini, get my usual, which ended up being like a strawberry sandwich for dessert and these like ham and mayo rolls from 7-Eleven and a lemon soda, and then the lightly salted potato chips because, health. Taking that back to the hotel, hanging out for a little bit, and then either doing dinner as a group or just spending time by myself, just decompressing. I truly had some amazing solo days in Osaka. I could live there. Osaka is amazing. We were there during the World Expo, and it was just phenomenal. I could absolutely build a home in Osaka with little issues. Now, things weren't always perfect. I was talking to another friend who visited Japan, and we both agree that Japan does something weird to friendships. I think it's just when you're forced in such close quarters, when there's so much walking, when there's so much to do, and everyone has their own idea of what they want to do, it just makes it easy to kind of butt heads. Now, Ricky and Carlos are my friends. They're stuck with me for the remainder of my life and even forward onto the beyond, where I will continue to haunt them as a specter. But my favorite days in Japan were definitely the days that I was by myself. Moving forward, we went to Nara, which is a scam. So if you don't know about Nara, Nara is the place where all the deer are. And, you know, you look on Instagram and it's just a deer bowing and they get a little biscuit. They get a special deer biscuit. And again, according to Instagram, they leave you alone. That is not what happens in Nara. What happens in Nara is that the deer mob you, bow once, and then start biting at your fucking love handles because they know that if they bite, they're likely to hit pockets where deer biscuits are hidden. I was bit so many times, and like, I don't know, maybe this was my fault for being naive and like under the delusion that, oh, well, they're sweet Japanese animals and surely they won't act like wild animals. I was wrong. Temples were amazing, had a great time with those, but those deer in Nara, no joke. Kobe, you know, we were really only in Kobe for a day. Our hotel wasn't the best. It was actually like one of the rare times that when I picked a hotel, it was not the best. But I did get to watch the first episode of the Devil May Cry anime. And for someone who has openly said that they only know about Devil May Cry because of Yaoi Dojin, I liked it. I also have no point of reference for these characters. So Carlos was very disappointed. Also, Johnny Young Bosch, what are you doing here? Go home. That was just Vash. Tokyo round 2. So we started in Tokyo, we bookended in Tokyo. And again, I had the most fun when I was by myself. When I could take my time, do what I wanted to, go to the shops I wanted to, see the sights that I wanted to, see the attractions I wanted to. That's when I had the most fun. Like the Ginza Art Aquarium, where it's just all these like beautiful goldfish and like John Wick background scenarios, where it's all just like lights and sakura and lanterns. I loved the art aquarium. And it ended up being something I had to do alone. I couldn't really sway the guys to go with me, and if I had waited for them, I would have missed it. I really enjoyed my solo time this trip, and it made me start really thinking about Japan in a different way. I get the appeal of going with a big group. I do still like that safety, especially traveling at night with guy friends. I feel very safe in Japan. I had no issue walking up and down the streets at night by myself. Again, not saying Japan is like this perfect utopia, but I didn't feel the level of unsafe that I do, let's say, here in America. But I had the most fun when I was alone. I had the most fun when I wasn't relying on someone to allow me to enjoy something. I feel like so much of this trip, there was a lot that I didn't get to do because it felt like I was looking to my friends to let me do something. Like I could only rationalize it if we all went together. Like, surely I don't deserve this cool thing by myself. I have to make it a group activity. And by making it a group activity, it means that I am likely not to be able to do it. That was a powerful lesson to learn, and one that I will take with me onto future trips, because I'm already planning future trips. You know, there's this stereotype of the person that becomes like the Japan person, and it's like, oh, you know, I'm going to travel all around the world and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like person who goes to Japan every year. I feel like that's very quickly going to become me, where it's like, yes, there's still so many other parts of the world that I want to see, but there's so much of Japan I haven't seen. There's so much. I want to see it all. It's an amazing country. Speaking of, though, there's some tourism changes afoot in Japan. Now, I'm very open about understanding why Japan is placing some restrictions on tourism. There have been a lot of foreign bad actors, let's say, who have come to the country and been less than respectful. And I say foreign. The thing is that, like, in the media, it's portrayed as a uniquely Western issue that it's like just Americans who are being disrespectful, like your Johnny Somalis. And while yes, that is a part of it, the truth is that the issue is foreign. That includes people from other parts of Asia. Um, but the face of it very quickly became like American and German, I guess because of ease of storytelling. So I'm not saying that there are not American tourists and other European tourists that don't, that don't misbehave. But what I am saying is that it's a bigger problem than just us. Uh, so Japan's doing some tourism changes. Now tourists will face a higher price on most major attractions. The price increase is noticeable, as in like a few thousand yen. Um, Additionally, there will be more places that are warded off, especially in Kyoto. And if you request an English menu, prices are likely to be higher. That's something that's already been kind of in effect, but it's becoming more widely adopted. As a foreigner who loves visiting Japan, it bothers me, but also Japan is packed with tourists. It's so full. And I understand that even when tourists are acting on their best behavior, they're disruptive. So, like, I live in San Antonio. We're a big tourist city for Texas. Even when the tourists are being good, they are physically disruptive. They take up space, they make driving hard, they make public transit hard, they crowd the malls, they crowd the businesses. Like, and that's, again, just saying that they're on their best behavior, which heaven knows they aren't always. So combine that with some of the very, very viral instances of Western and other foreigners making a whole ass of themselves. I understand why Japan is changing its views on tourism. But also, again, as a tourist, Japan is so big. When I go again, am I going to visit Osaka? Of course I am. Is it going to be the main focal point of my trip? No. Japan is a massive island. And the overpopulation issue for tourists is because it happens in like 3 cities. Travel somewhere else. All of Japan is interesting, I promise you. Japan existed long before there was anime and manga. Please. Please go read book. And I'm not saying that as an elitist. I picked up multiple figures and much fan art while I was over there. You can do both. Both is achievable. Closing thoughts, listen. Outside of the depressive episode I had after this trip, I had an amazing time. Japan was great. I am so excited to start planning to go again. Will I go with the same group? Who knows? A new group? Who knows? But I definitely know a few things will happen. 1, I'm planning in way more solo time. 2, I am planning on going to places for longer periods of time. 3, I am going to let go of the fact that I'm a tourist. If you listen to episode 1 of this series, I talked a lot about my angst of being a tourist and like, oh, I stick out. Oh, I don't fit in. Of course you don't fit in, Amanda. You're never going to fit in. And that's okay. You are cringe. You are free. You're never going to fit in. Don't be a jerk. Have a good time. Take pictures of the birds. Do whatever you want, as long as it's respectful. But set yourself free of the like, oh, I need to blend in and be as small as possible. It's not happening. Just embrace it. This trip taught me so much about myself. And I'm so glad that I got to do it again while feeling emotionally better and physically better. And listen, I'm just ready for trip 3. Let me know any suggestions of where I should visit. Please enjoy the stylish montage I spent too much time making. And I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.